All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we are decoding the very DNA of the modern workplace. Over the next few minutes, we're going to explore some incredible, real-time data to see exactly how the world of work is transforming right under our feet. We've gathered some truly fascinating insights spanning organizational behavior, corporate advisory, and global migration to build a complete 360-degree picture of what is actually happening to the employer-employee relationship right now.
Here is our roadmap for today. We're hitting 5 key areas. First, the psychological contract shift. Second, remote work and loyalty. Third, the illusion of co-presence. Fourth, digital nomads and visas. And finally, next-gen career choices. So let's get right into it.
Starting things off with Section 1, the psychological contract shift. To begin our research roundup, we absolutely have to start at the foundation of how we view employment. And it's not just about that literal piece of paper you sign on day one. Our first foundational concept comes from the work originally established by our Gearys and later expanded on by researchers Janet Smithson and Susan Lewis. They dive into this idea of the psychological contract. It's basically the invisible handshake between you and your boss. It's this whole unwritten set of mutual obligations, values, and aspirations operating way above your formal employment contract. It's the silent assumption that, hey, if you work hard, the company will look after you, or that you have a certain unspoken right to a work-life balance.
So, how is that delicate, invisible handshake holding up today? Well, Dr. Aditi Jamil and Arash Mashadi out of Griffith University decided to find out. Their recent scoping review investigates what happens when you inject modern, remote technology right into the middle of that psychological contract. And I've got to say, the results are pretty eye-opening.
Their work points out something huge. Digital tools are literally rewriting those unwritten rules. When all your communication moves entirely to screens, or let's say invasive AI monitoring tools enter the chat to suddenly track your mouse movements, that fundamentally alters the entire dynamic. It leads to what they call a psychological contract breach. Employees start feeling like their autonomy is totally compromised, while on the flip side, employers might start feeling like their remote workers just aren't pulling their weight. It's a recipe for mutual distrust.
Which brings us to Section 2, remote work and loyalty. How does that digital breach actually play out in the real world?
To get a read on actual, measurable corporate dedication, we're bringing in the corporate advisory firm Oakwood and Drenham Capital. Through their extensive work in corporate services and transformation, they're actively measuring a very real decline in corporate loyalty. They're seeing firsthand how the mass shift to remote work, while obviously incredible for flexibility, is seriously eroding long-term commitment to a single organization.
And they dug into the why. Honestly, a lot of it comes down to a lack of face-to-face interaction, which is just killing team cohesion. But the absolute biggest factor? Remote work has essentially created a borderless job market. Think about it. You no longer have to uproot your entire family to take a new job. You literally just log into a different server. It makes jumping ship almost too easy, meaning those traditional incentives to stick around for 5 or 10 years are rapidly disappearing.
Moving on to Section 3, the illusion of co-presence. Because even when companies do mandate a return to the office, things aren't necessarily magically fixing themselves.
To understand why the office feels so weird lately, we've got Nils Braden Moe from Syntef and Jarla Moss Hildrum from Deloitte stepping in. They conducted a really groundbreaking case study on agile telecommunications teams, and what they found solves a major piece of the hybrid work puzzle. They actually looked at Office Access Card data across 17 different agile teams to see who was showing up and, much more importantly, who was showing up at the exact same time.
It essentially boils down to the difference between average office presence and coordinated co-presence. You could have a team where everybody comes in 3 days a week, giving management a great average attendance metric, but if everyone comes in on different days, they never actually see each other. Moe and Hildrum call this a lack of dyad co-presence. It perfectly explains that highly frustrating everyday reality of putting on real pants, commuting an hour, and then sitting alone in a cubicle on a Zoom call anyway, just because your actual teammates decided to work from home that day.
As Moe and Hildrum clearly point out, just pushing for mere office presence based on average attendance, it's a completely false assumption. Forcing people into a building doesn't build psychological safety or team unity unless those schedules are intentionally coordinated. The actual magic only happens when teams intentionally show up in the same physical space on the exact same days.
All right, Section 4, digital nomads and visas. If local loyalty is dropping and casual office coordination is totally failing, what happens when employees ditch the country completely? For this, we're leaning on a massive, comprehensive report by Fragaman and the International Organization of Employers, or the IOE. They provide this incredible deep dive into the absolute extremes of globalized remote work, exploring the exploding phenomenon of the digital nomad.
Now, they make a really crucial distinction here. Working from home in the suburbs does not make you a digital nomad. An in-country remote worker is one thing, but a true digital nomad is someone residing in a completely foreign country, usually on a highly specialized visa, providing services to clients outside that local market. We are talking about a massive structural shift in how national borders and employment interact.
And this isn't just about a few adventurous backpackers coding from a beach anymore. It's a full-blown global economic strategy. The Fragaman report outlines how governments are actively creating these nomad visas to strategically inject cash into their local economies. Meanwhile, for corporations, it blows the doors off the talent pool, helping to mitigate some really acute skilled labor shortages. Plus, it creates entirely new ESG, environmental, social, and governance dynamics. Companies suddenly have to rethink their carbon footprint and social impact on a truly decentralized global scale.
Finally, Section 5, Next-Gen Career Choices. We've got fractured contracts, borderless talent, and the illusion of the modern office. What does this chaotic landscape mean for the new kids on the block?
Researchers Ria-Jean T. Alibio and Sarah-Jean Del G. Covalton provide some incredible insights into this exact question through their recent work published in the Cognizance Journal. They track the career paths of recent business administration grads to see exactly how they are navigating these turbulent, uncharted waters.
Their data beautifully maps out the intense push and pull on Gen Z right now. On one hand, you have immense family influence and parental expectations pushing these young grads towards stable, traditional, and immediately lucrative roles. But on the other hand, the actual job market conditions they're walking into demand instant adaptation to borderless, remote, and hybrid opportunities. It's this fascinating, high-stakes clash between old-school expectations and completely new-school realities. Okay, let's weave all of these synthesized resources together so we can see the full picture of this new workplace DNA. We started with the foundational psychological contract established by Smithson and Lewis. Then, Jamil and Mashadis showed us how modern technology is actively fracturing that trust. Oakwood and Draham Capital brought the corporate perspective, proving this fracture destroys long-term loyalty. Moe and Hildrum's case studies made it clear that mere office presence is an illusion without intentional, coordinated co-presence. The Fragaman and IOE report outlined how the talent pool is going completely borderless through nomad visas. And finally, Alibio and Cottern showed us how the newest generation is trying to balance traditional family pressures against this wild new landscape. Together, they paint a picture of a workforce where old loyalties are basically dead. Intentional coordination is absolutely vital, and the globe itself is your new office.
Based on all this expert evidence, here's my final question for you to chew on regarding your own career. Look at your current setup. Is it time you drafted a new unwritten psychological contract with your boss? Are your internal expectations actually aligned with the realities of this digital age? It's a huge question, and absolutely one worth asking yourself today. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.